Morning. Hello. How's everyone doing? It's book club time. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Avery. Good morning, Anya. Hello, hello. Who's reading for the... Yeah, we all are. So sad that it's storming. It's the first day I've been able to use my paddleboard. Oh no, that's really sad. Rise and shine. Yes, we get it. I'm sorry about that, Brittany. That's not fun. The weather, I knew what you meant, Anya. I totally knew what you meant. The weather always likes to thwart things. It's a little gloomy right now, but we have the farmer's market after book club. Hey, Priscilla. I'm hoping that the farmer's market gets a little sunnier before the farmer's market. I love going to the farmer's market. Hey, Ray. Hey, Becca. But I'd rather it be a little warmer if it could. That's my ideal. But we'll see. It was really cold yesterday, actually. Oh, you guys, I think on Monday we get to, my order for the sun got canceled this weekend, yeah. On Monday we might get to try out having our book club on the book account. Cross your fingers, but I think I got it settled finally. But I just wanted to tell you all first before just jumping over there. So Monday morning, hey Shell, we may be over on the other account, Crossies. So at the very least, that will mean we won't have people coming in saying, make slime, make slime, make slime, because they won't even know that I make slime. Maybe we'll escape that. Maybe. Just maybe. Also, just so everyone knows, I have officially finished making all the slimes for pre-orders. So anyone who pre-ordered slime, speaking of that, for the Inside Out slimes, those have about a third of them have already mailed, and oh my gosh, the cannoli groomer is so good, right? About a third of them have already mailed, and the rest will go out probably by Tuesday, maybe by Monday, probably Tuesday, because we do have some errands to run today. So my day today, hey Grace, won't be totally work. It's a half work day for me today, but for the room, I know a lot of us have PCOS. Anyone have rec for? Ooh, you know what? I never used that. I hear, Ray, there are a lot of groups on Facebook that I'm in that talk about that. We are but one humble book club. We are but only the Chris Coffer fan club and nothing else. We are but a lowly, unofficial, unauthorized fan club and nothing more. So, that's the sitch. Slime, it will get in my book. Yes, how dare it. How dare it get in my book. Book sales have actually been really good this month, you guys. I will get to listen. My sister popped up today. Oh, has a pop-up. Ooh, that's fun. What's she doing a pop-up for? I was sick and totally missed the pre-order. I'll fight with the public. Rosie, I'll probably do what I did last time, which was give Patreon people a heads up, like, you know, a half an hour before. Is he on TikTok? Would be fun. He's not, right? Wouldn't it be amazing? People do love those scratch off states on the map, but it's also, so this month alone already, like July, and we're not even halfway into July, I've already sold like 20 books, and not even including Kindle Unlimited versions, just like physical ones. What, Grace? What? Tell us everything. I don't real mood really. real moon dirt. Tell us more. That sounds fun, Naisa. I like that. Hey, Sloth. Oh, speaking of Sloth and other people who are part of the Patreon to watch After Dark, I ordered new After Dark add-ins this morning, and I have someone who might be making us some custom After Dark stuff, which is really fun. They're testing some stuff out for us, but I ordered 4 new After Dark glitters. Fun, right? So that's exciting. So we'll have some new stuff with the next one. Grace, that's super cool, and I want to know how you got to do that. Did I miss it? Did you say how you got to do it, Grace? How did you get to hold moon dirt? How is that a thing? Somebody explain to me how you get to hold moon dirt. Maybe it got filtered. Maybe it got filtered. How dare they? They always want to filter the people who are like not people I want to be filtered. Like, why is it filtering Grace and Becca? You know what I mean? Like, can it filter the other people? Like, the people we don't want here? I want to be able to put like a little check mark that says never filtered. Oh, you saw it, Brittany? Oh, Brittany saw it. From the space agency thing by the US Gov. That's so cool. That's very cool. Very, very cool, Grace. Did you take pictures? Are you going to share in the chat? Because you should. Delicious. Ah, perfect fit. I love this cup so much. We took pictures holding the vials, but I have to ask my advisor. Oh, yeah. Definitely do that and then show us, right? I mean, that'll be fun for everybody. Will be fun for everybody. Grace, you haven't seen our Monstera recently because it's been a minute since you've been able to come to book club, but look at how much our baby has grown. It's humongous. Yeah. It's huge. It's like look how tall it is now. When we bought it, it was like the size of my forearm, and now it's almost up to my shoulder. It's huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah. It's gonna be as tall as you one day. I believe it. We're gonna have to move it to like we're gonna need a yard for it eventually. It's huge. Huge. Let's get into it. How's everyone's weekend going? Is anyone doing anything fun? I heard Anya is, obviously. Great. Brittany was going to. We're going to the farmer's market. The particles have microscopic jagged edges that pop cells. That's crazy. I hate that. Yeah, don't smell moon dirt, you guys. Peter Pan tomorrow. Yeah, is anyone else who's in the area going to see my friend Kurt in Peter Pan while they're in Southern California? They're going to be in San Diego also, Anya. I'll be reading this weekend. Me too. I'm reading a book right now on Kindle Unlimited called Sold Out. I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook for readers, and somebody posted theirs and it sounded good. It's about 2 country artists on tour. I was like, oh, it's pretty. Yeah, Peter Pan is here right now in LA, and then they go to San Diego for 2 weeks, and then they're in Orange County for 3 weeks. So if anybody wants to see them in Southern California, I highly recommend. They're great. I'm reading Throne of Glass Tandem. Oh, we love a tandem read. Tandems are fun. I really want to do that. Hopefully Holly bought your book. I didn't tell her I actually know you. Oh, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe she bought it on Kindle. I can't see the names of the people who buy them on Kindle. the author of this book, of the sold out book. You know what? I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but on my book Instagram, I did post it and I linked her, but I cannot remember the name right now, but I can post it again. But I always post as I read each book. I post them. Yes, I'm loving Tandem. It's my first Tandem. Yeah, super fun. How's your writing project going? So my writing is not going superb right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in a bit of a rut writing wise, but I'm hoping to get back into it over the next couple of weeks. I really want to write the project from that class, Priscilla, but I need to finish the one that I'm working on first, because like I'm already 2/3 done with it, so that's the problem. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and read and we'll worry about that later. So this is called Chapter 16, Bait. Yikes, that does not sound good to me. While Xanthos waited on the balcony for Elric, he kept himself busy daydreaming of their future life on the run. He imagined them traveling the world as they dashed from hiding place to hiding place, sharing exotic meals in exotic locations, happily holding hands as they ran from the alchemists. The thoughts were so cheerful that Xanthos had to remind himself of the danger that he was even in. However, after waiting for more than an hour for the elf prince to return, Xanthos's giddiness turned into impatience. And as the second and third hour rolled by, his impatience... Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry. As the second and third hour rolled by, his impatience evolved into full-blown worry. Xanthos couldn't imagine what was taking Elric so long. He leaned over the railing and looked around the castle grounds, but didn't see the prince or his chariot anywhere. As he searched, Xanthos was relieved when he heard the sound of footsteps coming from behind him. "Elric, where have you been?" he asked and whipped around with a big smile. Unfortunately, Xanthos discovered the wrong royal. "Oh, Princess Elvina," he asked, "what are you doing out here?" "My brother asked me to come and get you," the princess said. "I found him loading a chariot in the stables, and he said he was going to give you a night tour of the kingdom." "Oh, yep, that's right," Xanthos said with a nervous laugh. "You know, the elf territory is just so beautiful at night. I wanted to see everything close up." Princess Elvina crossed her arms. "Uh-huh," she mumbled. "Well, follow me. I'll show you to the stables." Xanthos was grateful that nothing bad had happened to Elric and was embarrassed for letting his paranoia get the best of him. Once again, his head was filled with daydreams of the future, and Xanthos practically floated as he followed Princess Elvina through the castle. They climbed the curvy staircase to the first floor, and then the princess led him down the steep flight of stairs to the lower levels of the castle. She escorted him down a narrow hall where they entered a room that was pitch black. "We're almost there," Princess Elvina said. "The stables are all the way down here?" Xanthos asked. I just have to tell you guys, I do not feel good right now. I do not feel good right now. This feels not great. I am concerned. This does not feel correct. Something is not good. Not bad, not good. Okay. Yeah, they're my family's secret stables," she explained. "In case the castle's ever attacked, it just gives us a quick way to escape. And it's just on the other side of this door, so watch your head." Although Xanthos couldn't see the princess, he could hear her open a door. He ducked through the tight doorway and had to crawl on his hands and knees to fit into the short hallway behind it. Xanthos was only inside the hall for a couple of seconds before he bumped into a set of steel bars. Princess Elvina?" he asked. "I think there's something blocking the—" Wham! The princess slammed the door behind him, and Xanthos heard the sound of rattling chains, and a lock behind him clicked shut. He tried to move right and then left, but he could barely turn around. The princess had tricked him into some kind of metal box. "What is going on?" he asked. "Where am I?" Princess Elvina's face was illuminated for a brief moment as she lit a match. She tossed the match into a pile of dry logs beneath Xanthos, and as the flames rose around him, Xanthos realized that he wasn't in a hall. He was trapped inside a cage in the middle of a fireplace. The warmth of the fire turned the metal bars red hot, and it singed the edges of Xanthos's white suit. "Elvina, what are you doing?" he cried. A malevolent grin grew across the elf princess's face while she watched the fire rise higher and higher.
Even as the cage was completely engulfed in flames, Xanthos remained unharmed. "See, Father, I told you it was him," Princess Lavina said. "I recognized him the minute that he walked into the dining room." Xanthos saw a pair of hands appear in the corner of the dark room. King Elvin clapped for his daughter, and he slowly stepped out of the shadows. The king walked closer to the fireplace and was joined by 4 soldiers from the army of the dead.
"Well done, Elvina," the king said. "I have never been prouder of you. You've proven yourself far more cunning and capable than either of your brothers. You will make an excellent queen when I am gone."
Princess Elvina beamed victoriously. "Thank you, Father," she said. Xanthos shook the bars of his cage, but they didn't budge. "Where is Elric?" he exclaimed. "What have you done to him?"
"I'm afraid you will never see my son again," King Elvin said. "You see, lying to the king comes with severe consequences, especially for a prince. By the time Elric has served his sentence, you will be long gone."
"If you're turning me in, then where are the alchemists?" Xanthos asked. "Why are there soldiers here?"
"The righteous emperor made me an offer I couldn't refuse," King Elvin said. "In exchange for you, he promised to spare the elf territory come the invasion."
"But why?" Xanthos gasped. "What does Seven want with me?"
"I don't care what his reasons are. I have a territory to protect," King Elvin said. "The righteous emperor's army is impossible to defeat, regardless of what the fairy godmother believes. It's only a matter of time before he annihilates everything standing in his way. Turning you over to him is the only way I can guarantee the elves' safety."
"He's lying to you," Xanthos shouted. "You can't trust the Emperor. He's going to betray you, just like he betrays everyone else. You have to let me out."
"Oh, I'm sorry, son, but I have no choice," King Elvin said, and then he gave the dead soldiers a nod. "Take him away."
Dr. States and the alchemists had been searching for 2 whole days and still hadn't found any trace of Xanthos Hayfield anyway. However, as dawn broke on the morning of the 3rd day, the alchemists thought their luck was about to change. While their bronze carriage flew through the northwestern sky of the righteous empire, they spotted a trail of smoke billowing in the distance. The alchemists steered the mag birds in the direction of the smoke and landed beside a small brush fire in the foothills. Strangely, instead of finding Xanthos Hayfield at the scene, they discovered the righteous emperor himself, holding a lit torch. He was there with his high commander and a fleet of his dead soldiers.
"Gentlemen, good to see you again," Seven said.
"What is the meaning of this?" Dr. States asked.
Forgive the theatrics. I have good news and didn't know how else to get your attention," Seven said.
Did you find Mr. Hayfield's location?" Dr. States asked.
"Even better," Seven teased. "Xanthos Hayfield has been captured, bound, and disarmed by a muter metal. He is in custody as we speak."
The alchemists looked at one another and sighed with relief. "Oh, well, that is wonderful news," Dr. States said. "Great work, Your Majesty. Tell us where he is, and we will head there immediately."
The Emperor scrunched his nose and shook his head as he considered. "Actually, I'm not sure that that's such a good idea," Seven said.
"What are you talking about?" Dr. States asked. "We have to eliminate him as soon as possible."
Yeah, but like you said, Xanthos Hayfield is very powerful," Seven said. "I don't think it's wise or responsible to perform his execution in my empire. What if, something went wrong? If one of my citizens was injured in the process, well, I would never forgive myself."
It had been so long since the Emperor felt empathy for anyone but himself, he had to remind himself which face muscles to use when he said this. "Your Majesty, we are more than capable of handling this," Dr. Steam said.
"If it makes you more comfortable, we can transport the boy back to the Institute and perform the elimination there," Dr. Stagg said.
"And risk him escaping mid-flight? No. That wouldn't be very smart either," Seven said, and he sighed dramatically.
"If only there was a way to bring the Institute closer to the righteous empire. That way I could hand over Mr. Hayfield safely without putting my kingdom or my people in jeopardy."
The alchemist shared a patronizing laugh at the Emperor's expense.
"The Alchemy Institute can go wherever we tell it to," Dr. Storm boasted. "It's on the foundation of clouds. Clouds can travel anywhere in the world."
Seven put a hand over his chest and dropped his jaw, pretending to be amazed. "I gotta tell you guys, these alchemists are dumb as a box of rocks. I mean, they're falling right into his lap." They are literally, ugh. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I got a little out of control there for a second. I hope nobody's children were in the room. I got really upset. Kids, don't hit yourself. That wasn't right. Don't do that. Don't do what Aunt Sasha did. That was bad. I'm so sorry. Everybody makes mistakes, even Aunt Sasha. Sorry. Seven put a hand over his chest and dropped his jaw, pretending to be amazed. Well, it can, he exclaimed. My. You scientists are just full of surprises. Well, that solves everything then, doesn't it? Dr. States gave the Emperor a peculiar glare, as if he had caught a foul stench. Unfortunately, moving the Institute comes with its own set of risks, he said. We wouldn't want to spoil the Institute's secrecy by exposing it to your people. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has bad days. Sorry, that was Grace's fault, you guys. She triggered me. He does. He pulls out our emotions. Kids, if you're going to get upset about something, let it be a good story. Let it be a good story. The Emperor waved off the concern like it was a harmless flight. Oh, there's no need to worry about that, he insisted. My empire is under a very strict curfew. All the citizens are required to be indoors by sundown. If you bring the Alchemy Institute to the Righteous Palace after dark, let's say midnight tonight, for example, no one will even know that you're there. The alchemists scrunched their brows and scratched their foreheads as they considered the Emperor's proposal. It seemed like Seven was making the situation more complicated than necessary, but they would do anything to get their hands on this boy. All right, very well, Your Majesty, Dr. States said. We will bring the Alchemy Institute to the Righteous Palace tonight at midnight. Terrific, Seven said. I will sleep much easier once this nightmare is behind us all. After the decision was reached, the alchemists returned to their bronze carriage, and the magbirds carried the scientist into the sky. The Emperor waved to them as they disappeared over the southern horizon, and when the alchemists were out of sight, the Emperor's friendly smile turned into a cunning smirk. What do you think, High Commander? Seven said. Was I convincing? Without question, my lord, the High Commander said. You acted like an absolute idiot. The alchemists aren't suspecting a thing. Good, Seven sneered. I'm counting on that. Chapter 17. The Riddle of Four Doors. After their narrow escape, the delegates finally understood why no one had survived the Temple of Knowledge before, and they were starting to doubt their fate would be any different. Their arms and shoulders were aching horribly from climbing the stone bricks, and their palms and knuckles were covered in scrapes and blisters, and their fingernails were filled with blood. Gobzella had pulled every muscle in her body while helping the others to safety. The goblin was so sore that she could barely walk, and she used Spanky as a living crutch. It was a miracle the delegates were still standing, let alone moving at all. But the party kept going, taking one determined step at a time, ready to face whatever obstacle was next. Your acting wasn't that good, Seven. It was actually pretty bad. It was extremely bad. It was beyond bad. Bad, not good. The doorway at the top of the physical challenge led to a long and dark corridor. As the delegates walked inside, torches mounted to the walls were magically lit as they passed them. And the longer they walked, the deeper the corridor slanted and the air began to cool. The delegates assumed that they had traveled beyond the island's volcano to somewhere in the bottom of the ocean. Eventually, they reached the end of the corridor and discovered a wide chamber. The chamber was completely empty, except for 4 identical doors at the far wall. I woke this morning and I had to forget that Butternut was gone. I know. Guys, R.I.P. Butternut. He was a good goblin. There was nothing wrong with Butternut. He was a good guy. I'm a fan. Justice for Butternut. The doors were cracked open and a faint pale light shone out from whatever was behind them. A single plaque was bolted to the wall above the doors and carved with a message written in the same ancient language that they saw before. This doesn't seem fair, Lucy said. How are we supposed to know what the plaque even says? You should file a complaint, Prince Elrond scoffed. And suddenly, as if the plaque was listening to Lucy, all the letters started to rearrange themselves into a language the delegates could understand. They gathered in a tight clump below it to read the inscribed message. Each door leads to a different path. Each path leads the same destination. The path behind door 1 is the quickest. The path behind door 2 is the shortest. The path behind door 3 is the slowest. And the path behind door 4 is the longest. Choose wisely. Once a door shuts, it will not reopen. The delegates stared at the plaque with the same crestfallen expression. They read the message over and over again, but none of them understood what it meant. Are those supposed to be directions? Spanky asked. No, it's a riddle, Bristol said. This must be the mental challenge. Why do riddles always have to be so passive-aggressive? Gobzella said. Well, it seems pretty simple to me, Ryder said. If each door leads to the same destination, then it's letting us pick our route to the next challenge. That's too easy. There's got to be a catch, Bristol said. Riddles choose their words very carefully, and they're designed to be misleading. It doesn't say each door leads to the next challenge. It says each door leads to the same destination. So what's a destination that we all reach even if we don't choose the right door? All the delegates went silent as they contemplated that question. And suddenly, their train of thought was interrupted when Prince Elrond bolted for the first door. Your Highness, what are you doing? Gobzella said. I'm picking the quickest path, the elf called. But we haven't solved the riddle yet, Spanky said. Prince Elrond froze in the doorway of the first door, and he looked over his shoulder with a scheming smile. I'm not here to help stop the righteous empire or the devil's breath, he confessed. My father sent me to this temple to retrieve the book of sorcery for the elves, and if I survive, he promised to name me as heir to the throne. And once we have the book in our possession, the elf territory will become the mightiest nation the world has ever known. You shady little tree parasite, Lucy shouted. You've been lying to us the whole time? Gobzella asked. The delegates charged toward the elf, but Bristol held out her hand to stop them. Elrond, wait, she pleaded. I understand your desire to prove yourself to your father. Believe me, I spent my whole childhood desperate for my father's approval too, but that door is not the way forward. The riddle is trying to trick you. No matter what you do here, it does not guarantee your father's respect. Some people can't be pleased no matter how hard we try. Prince Elrond looked to the floor for a moment while he considered Bristol's words, but a conniving grin quickly returned to his face. Nice try, he said. I'm sorry, fairy godmother, but this is where your journey ends and mine finally begins. Prince Elrond stepped through the first door and slammed it shut behind himself. As soon as the door was closed, it dissolved into the wall and disappeared from sight. The delegates could hear the elf's footsteps behind the wall as he raced further and further into the temple. Elrond, you should come back. It isn't safe, Bristol yelled. I'll tell the world you died noble deaths, Prince Elrond called back to them. Your memories will be cherished for Suddenly, the chamber began to rattle with the power of a massive earthquake. A thunderous noise boomed from behind the wall as an avalanche of giant stones crushed the elf. Prince Elrond's screams grew louder and louder until finally there was dead silence. The delegates gazed at one another with large, horrified eyes. Wrong door, Lucy said. Tragically, Prince Elrond just solved the next riddle for us, Bristol said. The destination isn't the next challenge. It's death. That's the one destination everyone reaches regardless of the choice they make. Elrond chose the door with the quickest path, so he had a quick demise, Ryder thought aloud. So now we have to figure out if the shortest, the slowest, or the longest path leads to the next challenge. What's the difference between quick death and short death? Gobzella asked. Height, Spanky said and nodded with conviction. I bet there are razors behind the door number 2 that will slice us in half and Gobzella into thirds. Right, well then it's between doors number 3 and 4, Ryder said. But what's the difference between a slow death and a long death? Aren't they the same thing? Bristol went quiet and paced in front of the doors as she thought about it. When I think of the word slow, I think of time, she said. But when I think of the word long, I think of length. Last year when I was in the realm between life and death, the clocks on the trees were spinning at different speeds. Ryder did a double take. Sorry. Did you just say the realm between life and death? I'll explain later. You need to focus right now. Oh, sorry, wrong voice. We'll explain later. Just focus right now, Lucy told him. Keep going, Bristol. Mistress Mara said that the clocks move at different speeds because people experience time differently, Bristol went on. Time is relative, but length is not. Length is a measurement, and measurements are definitions. They are exact. And technically, we all start to die from the moment that we're born. Therefore, life and death could be perceived as the same thing. So if we want to survive this challenge, we would want the option that gives us a long death. The delegates stared at her like she was speaking a completely different language. I'm saying we should pick the fourth door, Bristol clarified. Great, we got us out the door, Gobzilla cheered. The delegates were confident in Bristol's decision and they headed for the fourth door. However, Spanky stayed put, scratching his beard as he thought about Bristol's analysis. Hold on, the dwarf said. I understand what the fairy godmother is saying, but her theory depends entirely on the translation. What if slow and long, or quick and short, aren't synonyms in this ancient language? What if the translation is purposely trying to mislead us? The delegates collectively moaned and started pulling out their hair. They were so confused that it gave them all headaches. This mental challenge going to drive me insane, Gobzilla said. Yeah, I'm starting to think that Prince Elrond picked the right door, Lucy said. Ryder calmly raised his hands to get everyone's attention. I think we're making this more complicated than we need to, he said. Even if the translation was flawless, there's no guarantee that the riddle is honest. But there are 3 doors left, and 5 of us. The most logical thing for us to do is split up. That way, at least one of us will make it to the next challenge. The delegates gazed at one another, hoping that someone would suggest a better option. But splitting up did make the most sense. Yeah, I suppose Dragon Boy is right, Lucy said. Gosh, if we'd only had magic to point us in the right direction. Bristol's posture suddenly straightened. Lucy had unintentionally given her an idea. Actually, I have something that might point us in the wrong direction, she said. Come again? Lucy asked. Everyone just be quiet for a minute. I've got a plan, Bristol said. It's absolutely crazy, but maybe we need to be a little mental to beat the challenge. She removed the silver watch from her pocket and held it close to her ear. Tick, 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 tick. The daunting sound instantly sent a wave of anxiety through Bristol's core. Tick, tick, tick. She stayed as still and silent as possible, hoping her plan would do the trick. Tick, tick, tick. Decisions. You'll go mad long before you make the right choice. The sorcerers knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't actually want anyone to survive the temple. None of these doors lead to the next challenge. Death is waiting behind each of them. For the first time since the curse began, Bristol was thankful that the disturbing thoughts resurfaced. She stood in front of the second door and concentrated on what they had to say. The shortest death, the wisest option in my opinion. Guaranteed to be the least painful. Why suffer more than necessary? Choose that second door. Bristol made a mental note of that and moved on to the third door. Oh, the slowest death. Far more excruciating, but more time to watch your life flash before your eyes. You'll always be remembered as a martyr. Choose the third door. Bristol took another mental note and then stood in front of the fourth and final door. Oh, the longest death. Not something I would recommend. If I were you, I'd get death over with. Why wait? Pick another door. A big smile grew across Bristol's face as she happily tucked the watch back into her pocket. I was right. We should take the fourth door, she told the others. How do you know? Lucy asked. The curse wants me to take the second or third door, and it would never lead me in the right direction, Bristol said. Holy reverse psychology, Lucy exclaimed. Ryder did another double take. I'm sorry. Did you just say curse? He asked. Yeah, the last 2 years have been wild, Lucy told him. We'll give you the bullet points another time, but let's keep this party moving. The delegates followed Bristol as she confidently stepped through the fourth door. And once they were all on the other side, the door shut behind them and dissolved into the wall. The delegates' hearts were racing as they waited for something dangerous to happen. A few moments of terror. A row of mounted torches began to light on the walls beside them, illuminating the second corridor that led even deeper into the temple. Bristol had made the right decision. Great work, Fairy Godmother, Spanky congratulated her. All right, 2 challenges down. 1 to go, Ryder said. And don't forget, we have to face the deadliest and most dangerous creature ever to live, Gobzilla said. Bristol let out a nervous sigh. Oh yeah, trust me, I didn't forget. It's not even 9, you guys. These chapters are short. If you want to read one more, we can. It's not very long. Maybe 3 chapters in one day, but I mean, it's not even 9 o'clock. Yeah? Chapter 18 is called The Immortal Agenda. It was the early hours of the morning and quiet in the Eastern Palace. Princess Proxima was wide awake and impatiently pacing the hallway outside Queen Industria's chambers. The princess's footsteps were soft, but her heart couldn't have been heavier. Shortly after she and her grandmother returned from the Conference of Kings, the queen fell gravely ill and hadn't left her bed since. Although the doctors couldn't figure out what was causing the illness, Queen Industria was so weak that she could barely raise her head off her pillow. Given Queen Industria's age, her ailing condition wasn't a surprise. Princess Proxima had been preparing for this moment for years, but still, the thought of losing her grandmother was just as unbearable today as it had always been. She couldn't imagine life without the queen's wise and compassionate guidance. Part of Proxima had always hoped that her grandmother would live forever, so she would be spared the grief of losing her. The door to the queen's chambers opened, and the royal physician quietly stepped into the hall with a somber face. "How is she?" Princess Proxima asked. "Well, she's comfortable. I've done all I can," the doctor said. "It won't be long." Princess Proxima burst into tears and turned the other way so the doctor couldn't see her crying. However, the princess quickly forced herself to suppress the sadness. Soon she would be the new queen, and the entire kingdom would be looking to her for guidance. "Is she awake?" the princess asked. Oh, Becca. Oh, good question. Oh, I like where your head's at. Live forever indeed. Could it be? Ooh. The doctor nodded. "Oh, if there's anything you'd like to say to her, now's definitely the time." Princess Proxima entered her grandmother's chambers and gently shut the door behind her. All the furniture in the spacious room was made from the Eastern Kingdom's prized metals, and from the queen's copper vanity to the steel frame of her large bed. The room was also decorated with portraits of past rulers dating back hundreds and hundreds of years, including Queen Immortalia, the very first woman to sit on the Eastern Kingdom's throne. The kingdom had been ruled by women ever since, and just like Queen Industria and Princess Proxima, their ancestors all shared an uncanny family resemblance. "Proxima, is that you?" Queen Industria's voice was so weak it was barely a whisper. "Yes, grandmother, I'm here." Princess Proxima rushed to the queen's side and held her grandmother's cold hand. Industria's long white hair covered her pillow like a silver halo shining around her frail head, and although there wasn't much life left behind the queen's tired eyes, she beamed at her granddaughter with enough affection to illuminate a cave. I'm afraid this is the end," Industria wheezed. "You've lived a long and wonderful life," Proxima said. "You're the most extraordinary grandmother in the world, and your reign will go down in history as the Eastern Kingdom's most prosperous era. You've earned your rest." "I'm so proud of you, Proxima," she said. "It's been a privilege to watch you grow into the woman you are now. Of all the things I've accomplished in my life, you are my greatest success." The princess held the queen's hand against her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I love you so much, grandmother," she cried. "Everything I am and everything I have is good because of you. You've raised me well, and I promise to take good care of the kingdom when you're gone." Queen Industria let out a long and anguished sigh. "Yes, about the kingdom," she said. "Before we part, there's something I must confess, a deep family secret that I have kept from you. It pains me greatly to burden you with it now, but I will rest much easier after I tell you. You deserve to know the truth." Proxima tilted her head with curiosity. The truth about what, grandmother?" she asked. Queen Industria pointed to a steel liquor bar in the corner of her room. "You will want a drink for this," she said. "A strong one." The princess's grief was immediately replaced with concern. She and her grandmother had always had a very open relationship, and she couldn't imagine the queen keeping any secrets from her, let alone one that she needed to confess on her deathbed. Proxima went to the bar and poured herself a generous amount of whiskey. She took a sip and then sat in the chair beside her grandmother's bed. "All right." Excuse me, wrong voice. "All right, I'm ready," Proxima said. "What's the secret?"
It's about your 13th great-grandmother, Queen Immortalia, she said. What do you know about her?
I think Mary's right. Proxima shrugged. Well, just what the history books tell us, she said. I know she inherited the throne when she was about my age, and she was the first woman to rule the Eastern Kingdom. Queen Industria slowly shook her head.
No, Immortalia wasn't 30 when she became queen. She was well over 300.
The princess looked at her grandmother with pity and checked her temperature. Obviously, the illness had started to affect her brain. Bye, Naisa. Grandmother, you aren't feeling well and your mind is confused, she said. But Queen Industria suddenly grabbed Princess Proxima's wrist and pulled her in close. The old woman glared at her granddaughter with the most serious expression the princess had ever seen.
Have I ever lied to you before?
The queen asked. No, never, the princess said.
Then why on earth would I start now?
Proxima didn't know what to say. Her grandmother might have been dying, but there wasn't an ounce of dishonesty or uncertainty in her weak gaze. The princess's concern skyrocketed and she took a big gulp of her whiskey. All right, go on then, she said. How did Immortalia live to be 300?
Before I tell you, I have to ask you a question, Queen Industria said. Do you remember the stories I used to tell you when you were a little girl? In particular, the story about the daughter of death?
Vaguely, Proxima said.
Tell me what you remember, the queen said. Please, it's important.
Proxima did her best to recall the story, but it had been decades since she heard it last. In the beginning of time, death gave every person on Earth 100 years to live, the princess said. He thought that a century was plenty of time, but humans always mourned their loved ones when they perished, and they always wished for more life. And then to help him understand their pain, Death sent his only daughter into the world of the living. The separation made Death experience grief for the first time. Unfortunately, his daughter liked living in the world so much that she learned to avoid her father and live forever. So Death invented disease and injury to cut people's lives short, hoping that it would help him find his daughter, but the two never reunited, and Death has been searching for his daughter ever since.
Good memory,
Queen Industria said.
Now what about the Demon King? Do you remember that story too?
Proxima had to concentrate harder to remember that one. I think so, she said. According to legend, there's a civilization of demons that lives in the center of the earth. The demons look like humans, but their bodies are entirely made of flames, and they live in the world of chaos and fire. In ancient times, the demon king led his people to the surface in an attempt to take over the planet, but luckily the king was defeated by a group of very powerful sorcerers, and the sorcerer imprisoned the demons in the center of the earth. But just in case the demons escaped and resurfaced, the sorcerers created a spell to control them. However, there's a prophecy, I think, that one day the new demon king will be born among mankind, and then the new king, when he accepts his role and takes the throne, the demons will no longer be vulnerable to the sorcerer's spell.
Very impressive, Queen Industria said. You were paying attention.
Grandmother, what do these stories have to do with Queen Immortalia? Proxima asked, and her grandmother paused for a moment, muttering with the little energy she had left.
Immortalia is from the times of demons and sorcerers, Queen Industria said. She was born into slavery and spent her early life bought, sold, and traded from master to master. Understandably, Immortalia developed a hatred for mankind and dreamed of seeking revenge, not just on her captors, but on the whole world. Eventually, she was sold to a powerful group of sorcerers, the same sorcerers that defeated the king of the demons. While Immortalia was under their control, the sorcerers combined all their most powerful spells into a single manuscript. They called it the Book of Sorcery, including the spell that controlled the demons. They hid the book in a vault with their most prized possessions and then forced their slaves to build a magnificent temple around the vault to protect it. Immortalia knew if she got her hands on the Book of Sorcery, there would be nothing to stop her from destroying the world. But the temple was incredibly dangerous. The sorcerers designed a series of challenges to compete before reaching the vault, and if Immortalia was going to survive, she needed help.
The princess moved to the edge of her seat. From who? She asked.
Death, the queen said. Immortalia escaped the sorcerers by jumping into the heart of a fiery volcano. When she crossed into the realm between life and death, Immortalia begged Death to let her live so she could seek revenge on the world. And when Death refused her, Immortalia made him an offer that he could not refuse. She told Death about the Book of Sorcery that was capable of destroying anything. In exchange for eternal life, she promised Death would retrieve the Book of Sorcery and use the elimination spell on his daughter so they would be reunited at last.
And Death agreed to that? Proxima asked.
Like a desperate fool, Queen Industria said, and so Death gave Immortalia the gift of immortality, a term he coined as her namesake. Immortalia spent her first 2 centuries inside the temple, repeating each of the challenges thousands and thousands of times until she reached the vault. By the time she got her hands on the Book of Sorcery, the sorcerers were long gone, and the world had drastically changed, but Immortalia's thirst for carnage was stronger than ever. She decided to abandon her promise to Death and focus solely on gaining control of the demons.
Did she manage it? Proxima asked.
There was only one problem, Queen Industria said. In order to control the demons, Immortalia had to free them first. The sorcerers had sealed the entrance to the demons' world with a mighty gate, and finding the gate wasn't a challenge Immortalia could complete on her own. She would need the resources of a queen. So Immortalia spent the next century seducing and marrying men of nobility, slowly working her way up the social ladder that eventually would make her queen. Once she was on the throne, she spent the next 200 years forcing prisoners to dig a long tunnel underneath the earth to the Demon's Gate.
But how could she have lived so long without being discovered? Surely someone must have noticed a queen who wasn't aging, Proxima asked.
Naturally. But Immortalia knew exactly how to shield her immortality, Queen Industria said. Over the years, she had many daughters and granddaughters, and as her descendants grew older, Immortalia had to wear disguises to give the illusion that she was getting older too. Whenever she reached the age that was suspiciously old, Immortalia would kill off one of her descendants and take their identity.
Okay. Proxima turned to the portraits on the wall and shuddered. Until now, she had never questioned her ancestors' remarkable family resemblance, but suddenly it made sense why all the queens looked so similar. You mean that Immortalia has been queen more than once? She said.
Oh, yes, her grandmother said. Many, many, many times.
The discovery made the princess feel ill, and she clenched her stomach. How was Immortalia stopped? She asked. A twinkle appeared in Queen Industria's eyes, and her wrinkled lips stretched into a sly grin. The old woman sat up in her bed with the ease of a young woman. She wasn't stopped, she said. Wait, Immortalia is still alive? Proxima asked. Oh, alive and well, Queen Industria said. And after centuries of searching, she finally found those demons and the gate to set them free. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be wise for Immortalia to reveal herself until all her enemies are defeated. If she wants to conquer the world, she'll have to perform identity theft one more time. Suddenly, the pain in Proxima's stomach surpassed any cramps she had ever experienced before. Her whiskey glass slipped from her grip, and she shattered it across the floor. The princess dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around her torso, moaning in agony. It's you, the princess gasped. You're Immortalia? Immortalia's grin grew into a full smile as she watched Proxima struggle. I'm so glad to get that off my chest, she said. Of all the descendants I've killed over the years, you were by far my favorite. I didn't want there to be any lies between us before you died. You poisoned me? Proxima coughed. Please tell Death that I do say hello. He won't be seeing me anytime soon, Immortalia said. Proxima's eyes fluttered shut and she collapsed on the top of the broken glass. Once the princess stopped breathing, Immortalia cracked her neck and leisurely stretched out in her bed. "Oh, what a relief," she said. "This disguise was getting insufferable." Immortalia removed the wrinkly mask and gray wig and a pair of spotted liver-spotted gloves that made her look like the elderly Queen Industria. She then hopped out of bed and placed the disguise on Proxima. She also switched clothes with the princess and then heaved her dead body into the bed. In a matter of minutes, the woman had flawlessly traded identities. A knock came from inside the wall that was painted with a colorful mural. "Ma'am, have you finished?" a gruff voice asked. "Yes, come in," Immortalia said. A secret door slid open and a man covered in dirt stepped inside the room. His sunken eyes grew wide at the sight of the dead princess, and he lowered his head in respect. "Don't look so surprised," Immortalia said. "You've known this was coming since she was born. Have all the prisoners been buried?" "Oh, yes, ma'am," the man said. "You and I are the only people alive left who know about the gate." "Excellent," Immortalia said. "Then the time has finally come." The immortal walked to an iron desk in the corner of the chambers, and she twisted and pulled the drawer's knobs in a particular order, and a secret shelf popped out from the side of the desk. The shelf contained a single book with a decrepit leather cover and worn parchment pages. The cover was designed with several majestic symbols, including the earth, the sun, and the moon, to represent the times of day. A rock, a breeze, a raindrop, and a flame to represent the elements of earth, wind, water, and fire. There was also a blossom, a green leaf, an autumn leaf, and a snowflake to represent spring, summer, fall, and winter. Immortalia stroked the book as if it were a beloved pet that she had been reunited with. "Ma'am, what about me?" the man said. "Am I free to go?" Immortalia eyed the man with a mischievous smile. "Of course you are," she said. "After a lifetime of service, you've earned a vacation. But will you do me one last favor before you go?" "What sort of favor, ma'am?" he said. "Let's toast to our success." Immortalia poured 2 glasses of the poisoned whiskey. To summoning demons," the man said, and raised his glass. "To summoning demons," she said. "God knows I've waited long enough." Yeah, if she has the book, what are they doing over there? I don't know. I didn't see any of that coming. Flabbergasted. Insane. Insane. Just crazy. I don't know how they're supposed to figure it out, Avery. What, you just get there and there's nothing there and you're like, maybe I'm in the wrong place, or is it gone? Like, how do you know? I don't know, Avery. I don't know. It's a great question. I know, she really did, Nikki. She really did. I know, betrayed by her grandmother of all people, right? Oh my gosh. Insane. Insane. Wow. Just wild, you guys. Can you please upload them? Yeah, I will. I'll upload them today. Wild times. I will get those all uploaded for you guys today. Trust no one, literally. And then I also will probably have another chapter of my book up today for anyone who's following along with that. If not 2, maybe body doubling. Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah, you're like, oh my God. That was crazy. Okay, so no live tomorrow, obviously, because it's Sunday, but on Monday, I'm gonna try doing the live on the other account. So just be aware that we will probably be on Sasha Quinn Books on Monday. Cross our fingers, hopefully. It would be great for us to be able to do book club lives on the book club page or on the book page. That seems like, you know, good. Yeah, my book is on YouTube. Yes, that's correct. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. It would be really nice for all of us because then we don't have to deal with all the crazies, you know. It'll just be book people, which is what we want for this. Not that we don't love slime, obviously. Like, we love slime in regular times, but like, it's okay to have a place that's peaceful, that's just for reading. It's okay. We're allowed to have some peaceful time for our book club. We're kind of important. We're kind of a big deal. I don't know if you guys know this, but we're like the official unauthorized Chris Coffer fan club. So you might want to invite your friends. We're like unauthorized, but totally official. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you all later. And oh, if you are owed a role for slime, such as Rosie, if Rosie's still in here, I put signups up for next Wednesday, so feel free to go ahead. I know, right? Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, what do you want me to do? Be like, hello, name. If you need to sign up for a role for slime for Wednesday, the sign up sheet is up now. And I think that's everything. Okay, hopefully we get some sun today. See you guys later. You can pretend.